Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited. I am super excited because today we have a very special guest, Jen Jones, and she's going to be talking to us about connection. So here's the thing. I talk a lot about collaborations, and you guys probably know we have our new book out, Grow Smarter, Using Collaborations to Grow Your Business. So that's happened. And Jen is here to talk to us about actually making those connections. I feel like those two topics just go hand in hand. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with Jen today. It is right in my wheelhouse, and I'm super excited to share Jen and her wonderful wisdom with all y'all. Joining us today on the call, too, we have a couple of our amazing Ladies Power Lunch members, and I just want to give you guys an opportunity to shout yourselves out and your business. So, Lynn, you want to just tell us who you are and what it is that you do, please?
Hey there, I'm Lynn Gallant. I am a wellness and nutrition educator, but my passion right now and in my business that I'm building is clean crafted wine with Scout and Cellar. I'd like to share and educate people on how they can make a simple change, but really enjoy the ritual of having a glass of wine, but not adding anything else but the fermented grape.
I love that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lynn. And Judy Ann, welcome. I'm so glad you made it on today. So excited. Can you just share with everybody who you are and the wonderful things that you're doing in the world?
There we go.
There you are. You're unmuted.
Well, happy 2021. And one of my growth resolutions is to take part in your outstanding networking and positivity. So here I am. I made it to week one.
Celebration.
I work for the United Way of West Central Connecticut, which covers the 4 area towns. So I probably cross paths with some of you in various ways. Our mission is that together we inspire and empower our community, creating long-lasting impact. And that's kind of also what models some of Davia's messages and the speakers that I've met through her. And I too just like to lend a helping hand where I can in other women's lives that maybe I've experienced from my marketing and radio days on up through working with celebrity tournaments and the state government system. So if I can be of help to you, or if I can tap into you, I'd love to get to know everybody a little better.
Awesome. So I'm going to invite everybody to go ahead and just drop in the chat your contact information if you would like to be able to connect with all these women that are on the call with us today. Marianne, would you just very quickly, because I really want to get to Jen, very quickly just tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
I'm Marianne Pack. I have mariannepack.com. And this year I am launching my podcast, which has 2 episodes up already. And so looking forward to collaboration with you all for the Dynamic Thriving Coaching Concierge platform. So you'll hear more about that later.
You sure will.
And I just got my order from Lynn, my gift that she had for the Christmas. So I can't wait to crack into some of those wines this weekend.
Awesome. Christina, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Can you just very quickly tell us who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. Great to be here. Jen, great to see you. We go way back. So I'm Christina Fry, and my business is called Innate Marketing Genius. I help trusted advisors show the same level of care and devotion and consistency to their wider community that they do to their clients. So they get better clients, period.
We can all use that. So thank you, Christina. Naomi, my dear one, thank you for joining today. Can you share with everybody who you are and what it is that you do?
Hi, I'm Naomi Rafalowitz. I help women move through life transition and help them identify their judge and their saboteurs and move into their beautiful, positive sage mind throughout their transition.
We all need that too. every single one of us. Thank you, Naomi. Appreciate that. So, guys, like I said, super excited because we have Jen joining us today. So, Jen, I could spend the whole afternoon going through your bio and telling everybody all the wonderful things that you do, but I feel like you would do it so much more justice. Can you share with our group who you are and what it is that you're doing in the world?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to see some familiar faces and some new faces on. And then we're Facebook Live. So I'm Jen Jones, and I have a company called Connect and Elevate, where I help introvert women entrepreneurs connect on a deeper level through networking, one-on-ones, collaborations, and we can go on. So it definitely works together here. And I help them grow their business, but as you probably all know, because if you're in this great group, you also connect on a personal level too. So just really getting out there, making sure that introverts know that they can grow their business just as well as extrovert can.
Awesome. So I have a question for you, Jen. Why did you even say yes to being on this show? I mean, I know we're critically acclaimed, but still, why would you say yes?
So I love your group. The energy of the group has been amazing. I think it's Judy Ann whose resolution is to do more events in here. I'm one of those I'll call lurkers, and I've gone into a couple things. I think I've gone to a couple events, but just the amount of interaction you get in the ladies' power lunch and everyone working together, the collaborations, and I was just honored to come and speak about what I do.
Excellent. And I was honored to have you because what you do is what we all need. We need to be making those connections. So tell us a little bit about what it takes to make connections.
So I, have, the 3 steps and all this stuff, but I really wanted to talk today about setting intentions, more on a personal level too, is that, about 6 months ago, I'm like, yep, I'm going to, and I call myself a master connector, but I'm going to, go to this event and I'm going to go do this. It's all Zoom. I can do all this. And I burnt myself out.
Of course you did.
And so, and I'm like, okay, can you do what you tell other people to do? And so it's one of those things where when we really set an intention, make it so that you're not, using up all your energy, that when you're setting an intention, it really comes from the heart versus the head. Like, oh my gosh, I need to meet 5 people at this next event, or I need to connect one-on-one with 10 people. What it is it really has to come from your heart. Like, I want to meet someone that I can collaborate with on my next summit, or I want to meet just one person when I go to this networking event. And so setting intentions, instead of saying I want to go to 5 networking events, although that's great to have goals, but setting intentions has a feeling behind it. And people feel that energy when you are in the room or in the Zoom room. So setting intentions are just so important. And I found that I wasn't doing that, and that's how I burnt myself out. And being just intentional with who you want to meet. And, these lovely ladies here, I'm sure they're going to connect with each other because they were like, oh my gosh, you talked about something that I want, that I want to connect with. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing is love on your peeps and people, whatever you want to call them, VIPs. One of the things is that, we do a one-on-one with someone and we connect initially, and then we forget that we need to continue to follow up with them, or we stay in our group. I found myself doing this too. We have a group of people that we love so much, and we forget that we need to, stand sideways and say, please come into my circle. So that is something that I've been teaching more so now, because we are getting comfortable on Zoom. We are, sticking with our people, but it's really important to open that up, both personally and professionally. I didn't grab it before I got on here, but I have decided to do some really great things to send out to people. So as you're loving on your peeps, they're not just an email on your email list, but maybe it's getting their mailing address so that you can mail them something. So I have these little joy stones right here, and I found some that say hope, and I have a little bag that I'm sending out to the people that I connect with and the people that are in my Facebook group, because I want them to understand that like I love them and their contributions to my group, their contributions to my online series that we're doing, or whatever it is that we're doing, that we can help others and show them that we love them. So that was my other thing.
That's wonderful. That sounds so great. I love I love those stones. Those are beautiful. And I love the idea of connecting further with the people who are on your list. That's amazing. So, we only have a half hour. We could have this conversation for, I think, days, really, because it's such an important conversation. So let's just hit the bullet points. What are the do's when it comes to connection? What are the things that we should be out here doing every day, every week? What is it?
So it's two things. And I mean, there's more, but there's two main things, and that is be the first one to say, hey, I loved what you were talking about, and I would love to connect one-on-one. And two, it's being that person that someone wants to invite into your circle. So keep it open, put it out there. Like you ask people to put their contact information in. That's a great invitation for others to say, oh, you know what, that I want to connect with that person. So just be open to new connections. And the ones that you've already done, if you want to go deeper, remember to follow up with them. I just did that with someone. We haven't talked in like 2 months. And I'm like, why haven't I gone back to this person? So go back to the people that you've done one-on-ones with and connect again, because so much has changed in our lives. And maybe you can help with something, or if you need help with something, then that person can reciprocate. So it's all about helping each other.
I love that it's about helping each other. And I don't know if you saw the prompt in our Ladies Power Lunch group today for discussion is about follow-up. So it's so perfect that you're talking about that today, Jen, because I think a lot of the time, and I'm going to say we leave the money on the table, but I don't really mean the money on the table. I mean, we're leaving the connections that we could be making that could be so rich and beautiful on the table because we are slacking on the follow-up. And we're so very often in a very great hurry to make new connections while not nurturing the connections that we already have. I will say that I am often guilty of that too. I feel like we're probably all in that boat, and we can all stand to just go back and look at the connections that we have and give them a little love because they deserve it. Absolutely. So the do's, those are some great do's. What about the don'ts? What about the things that, you know what? Don't do that. Tell us, Jen.
So, so the don'ts, and I will have to say it because I don't know if it's the new year or what, but I'm getting Facebook requests from people that I have mutual friends with. And the minute that I accept their friend request, they send me a message. They want to sell me something. They want to add me to their group. So that is my number one don't. Make the connection first. You can friend request people, but don't go right in for it and be like, hey, I have something to sell to you, or hey, you want to come to my group, or have a conversation. Maybe it's not right for that person. Like on the surface of their Facebook page, it looks like maybe it is a good connection. But, have a 30-minute conversation if you really think that person can add value to your group, or maybe that's someone that, you both could help each other with. But I really believe in, getting to know someone just a little bit before, sending them messages. So that's one of my don'ts.
And I'm looking at our Facebook group, and we have quite a few people watching with us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Jamie says, I hate that. And when people do that on LinkedIn, yes, they do it on LinkedIn too. Such a great point. I'm going to just put a shameless plug in here for our book, Grow Smarter. And in the book, I talk a little bit about how when I just started networking many, many years ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth, it was interesting because I would set up these coffee dates with people, and they would come on the coffee date. And my intention was to get to know them a little bit, find out who they are, find out if, I don't know, do they have a cat? Are they a parent? Are they living close by? These are the kinds of questions I came prepared with. And they came and they sat down and spent 30 minutes selling me their widget. They had no input for me to share what I do. There were no questions showing any interest in me or anything that I was about. And it was really, really interesting that they expected that at the end of that, I was going to pull out my wallet and purchase. That's never going to happen, guys. Jen, tell them again. I think this bears repetition.
Not gonna happen. And you brought up a good point, is that, what, if you can do a 30-minute one-on-one, but I've had conversations on Facebook Messenger with people who want me to come, join their group. And I felt like a connection to them because they were asking good questions. They were having a conversation with me. So, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't go right in for it. Just, be a little bit more open to having a conversation to really get to know somebody. So that's
maybe it's a woman thing, because I'm thinking back now and I'm thinking maybe it's a different kind of energy when you're networking with the guys. They're going in for the kill. Meanwhile, I want to talk about, like, oh, did you see the basketball game like last night? I mean, that was crazy. These are the things that I'm coming to the table to talk about, on that very first conversation. What do you like? What is your life? We can always do business. It's not going anywhere. That's just my 2 cents on this whole thing. Get to know the people that you're doing business with. And Mary over on Facebook says these are great ideas. Absolutely. So Jen, any other don'ts that you want to share with us?
So don't always be the one talking. Don't forget to listen. So if you are great at getting in there and talking about what you do and how you help people, that's amazing. But don't forget to pause to allow the other person to do the same.
Absolutely. I'm 100% on board for those suggestions, because again, back in the day when I used to do a lot of networking, and I networked a whole lot, I can tell you, not a lot of people out there listening, a lot of people out there talking. And that's not necessarily the best way to get your word out. It sounds counterintuitive, but listening actually will get you farther, I think. Absolutely wonderful.
I'll slide one more in there, and that is, don't just network to network, because you reminded me of, like, the good old boys, the Chamber of Commerce. I am a member, but just like those places where, if you don't feel a connection, don't go there just to go there. Really look at what are your options and find your people. And this is just a great example of finding your people, the Ladies Power Lunch.
I agree with you, Jen. I couldn't agree more. I used to network everywhere. Anywhere that there was networking, you would see me there. I was there at the early morning things. Lunchtime things would find me there too. And the after hours things never missed me. So basically, we're wondering, when exactly did she find time to treat patients? But anyway, it all worked out. The thing is, it is not productive to network where your people are not. You have to know who your people are. You have to really spend some time working on what people call that client avatar, figuring out who your people are and where they are congregating in great numbers, and go to those places. Those are the places where you will get the kinds of people who will listen, and the kinds of people who will be open to the kinds of follow-up that you're about. So I love that. I think that's great. Any other words of wisdom or hacks or anything that you can share with us that can help us on our way to having greater and better connections?
Yeah, now I'm not sure if I said this already, but if I'm saying it again, then it must be really important, is invite people. So when you're out there and you're talking to people, there's a lot of people out there who want to be invited to a Facebook group or want to be invited to a networking event like this. They want the invitation. They won't step out of their comfort zone, or even just that's their personality. They want the invitation. So if you have something amazing, go to your, your peeps and be like, hey, I'd love for you to, come and join me. I'm doing this networking event, or I'm doing this summit. Please, I'd love for you to come and share your wisdom. Great collaborations are like that. But a lot of people just need the invitation and have amazing words, but they've never been invited. And so they haven't had an opportunity to actually speak about their business or about who they actually, work with and connect with. So that's been a new one for me, because human design, Christy, I don't know if she's on the Facebook Live, but human design, they're I don't remember which one. I'm a manifester. And so I just go out there and get it, right? Go out there and get it, where
but you have to inform.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, ask my husband about that. Anyway, so really just remembering to invite people and be ready to help them, because in the end, you're going to grow friends, you're going to grow businesses, you're going to grow partners. Christina's on the line here. We had a conversation about a year ago and was like, oh my gosh, and we mastermind, we do accountability together. Who would have known that would have happened through the conversation? And it was because, we stepped out and we, invited and had a conversation with somebody.
Yes, I love that. And I would add to that, because nobody asked, but I'm going to add anyway. I would add to that, be inviting. I remember the very first networking in-person event that I ever went to. And some of you know our dear, dear friend, Alice. Alice is amazing in being an inviting person. So I walk into this room, I know nobody. And this is like one of those good old boys networking type of things, right? And Alice is an attorney, and she walked up to me as soon as I walked in the door, and she said, welcome. She just said that. She just said, welcome. Can you imagine how my fear, I'm brand new minted out of school. I'm coming to networking for the very first time, never done it ever. And this woman walks up to me and she says, welcome. And then she takes me around and she introduces me to a whole bunch of people that she knows. How many times have we done that for somebody else? And now that we're virtual and now that we're online, the invitation can be virtual and the welcoming can be virtual and the introductions can be virtual as well. It's actually, I think, a whole lot easier to do it now than it might have been before. So I'm going to tack on my little be inviting to your inviting. That whole idea.
It's just funny how that story, you were the one who did that for me with eWomen's Network about a year ago. So you were the table host and you were very welcoming.
I have no memory of that.
That's okay.
But it is my.
It sounds like you, right?
Yeah, it sounds right. It sounds like it fits.
So there is a question here about if someone connects with you and once you accept, they actually see your connections and start sending connection requests to all your contacts. So I guess I have two comments about that. One is I'm always really good to stalk the other person if the posts do not look like something, even if we have lots of mutual friends, I won't accept them. And two, I actually block my contacts unless we have mutual friends. So those are my two tips. I'm not an expert on that, but that would, I don't know if anyone else has anything.
Yeah, I would say check your settings in Facebook and just be careful when it comes to accepting requests. Make sure that they're actually people and not bots, because that's a real thing nowadays where you'll see requests and it's not anybody that's real at all. Any tech or any suggestions for podcasts we could listen to, or book we could read, or somewhere that we could go to get more information about connecting in the right way?
Wow, I wish I had an app, so I'll work on that.
Yes.
So I do have a recommendation for a podcast just for entrepreneurs. It's called Surviving Entrepreneurship. Michelle Mercier actually is the host of that podcast. And it was just she just started it back in August, and it is amazing. You know, the stories that you hear, and, you know, most of the time you're shaking your head like, yep. But then at the end, it gives you some tips as to like, how do you move through that? And so that would be my podcast recommendation. And I don't really have any tech recommendations at this point. Just remember that, you know, your email list is not just an email list. Let's add some names and addresses to that so that you can stay connected. I write a lot of personal notes too.
I like the personal notes. I like that you're going old school with your stones and your gifts, and I love that stuff.
It worked. I mean, I'm also a broker owner of a real estate company, and that's how I built my business to multiple six figures. So why not bring it into the online space with Connect and Elevate?
I love it.
You know, and that took me a while to realize. It took me a while to realize.
I love that. I love that. And the fact that it took you a while to realize and you're sharing that with us today, that is just so kind of you and really, really appreciate it. Do you have any upcoming events or any courses or specials or anything that you want to tell us about today that we can connect with you and participate with?
I do have a few things because it's
Tell us about them.
If you're looking for a free course on intentions, I have a Be Intentional with When You Network and Connect. It's on my website, and that's a free course.
What's your website?
Website is connectandelevate.com.
Okay.
And then I do have a masterclass. It's called Your Soul Tribe Masterclass next Wednesday in my Facebook group. That is also free. We're going to talk about how do you find your soul tribe? How do you create it, or how do you enhance it with either more people or deeper connections? So we're going to be doing that. If you are an introvert, you'll love it because it talks about your energy plan and how to maximize your time when you are networking and connecting. And then finally, we have an online series coming up. It's the Connect and Elevate online series season 3, very exciting, where we have 6 experts come in and talk about how to deepen our relationship with ourselves and others. And that is also free. And I'm very excited to say that we have Bonnie Lonsberry, who is the author of The Map, actually joining us for the online series. So I'm very excited about that. So lots of fun stuff going on. If anything resonates, definitely reach out.
Wonderful. I really, really appreciate that. And I'm just going to bring in our group here. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments, disparaging remarks? Anything that you want to comment on with the conversation? One. Sure. Hey, Christina.
Hey, great to be here. So as usual, Jen, I super appreciate all your reminders. Even if I've done all this stuff for a while, like you forget the basics. So thank you for that. And also somebody pointed out to me today that with the instability and cray-cray that's going on at any given time, like now, this is apparently, and I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts about this, Jen, a good time to reach out to people and say hi and just be like, hey, if you just want to chat, or like, I'm here, let's stay connected, because community is how we get through craziness. So just curious if you have any, any thoughts around that, or I've been doing it today, just kind of reaching out to people, but yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, so Facebook is hard, right? Because the perception of what's going on with someone's life is very distorted. And I say that in a very nice way. But I just had a friend say to me, like, crap hit the fan. And I'm like, it did? So I think reaching out to people that maybe you haven't talked to in a while and just check in with them and see if they have, some time to chat, I think it's always a great thing to do, but even right now.
Lynn.
I have something. As a matter of fact, Christina, there was something great. Not that I tune into the news, but if anybody knows of Jay Shetty, he's a former monk, and he's an amazing guide, I guess you could say. That was his advice today, was to kind of form your own little community where you could sit and create exactly that, reflection and intention weekly, or whatever you needed because of what is going on. So I love that you brought that up. But when you mentioned, Jen, the whole standing aside and letting people into your circle, that visual for me was very powerful, because I like to think that I am doing a lot of these things, but I think we do get caught up in our everyday and do let things slip. So these are great reminders, and it's been very valuable. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes. And I think, you know, it's great that you can see, I think we all go through that, right? I think we all sort of get comfortable and then realize, hey, we're not doing that. And we really enjoyed, you know, bringing new people, allowing new people into our circle. So I think that's where we just need to always be, you know, in awareness.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know Jay Shetty and would like to follow him, highly recommend. I think his philosophies really match up with what
Awesome. It's been an interesting year, 2020. We've had a lot of things that have gone perhaps not the way that we might have liked, perhaps not the way that we might have hoped. And I think that the thing that has come out of 2020 that has been the best thing is that we have all really reached out to our communities and been more connected, and not just connected in that really shallow way that we probably had been before, but really making those heart and soul connections, which are the connections that, in my opinion, are the meaningful ones. I feel like we've made a lot more of those over this past year, and looking towards 2020 being an opportunity for us to do that even more. So, silver lining, silver-ish. I don't know.
Yes,
Alrighty.
absolutely.
Awesome. So if we don't have any other comments, then I would just like to say a couple of things. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in today on our Facebook group, as well as everybody who tuned in for the show live here on Zoom. I want to say absolutely so much gratitude to you, Jen, for joining us here. Your knowledge is amazing and your sharing is so kind. We really do appreciate you. Thank you. I also want to just one more time put in that little shameless plug for the fact that we have our Ladies Power Lunch collaboration book that is out today, and it is called Grow Smarter. So I would invite you all to please download the book. For just the next couple of days, you will be able to download it for free on Amazon. And I would also invite you to leave us a 5-star review. So I will never ask you to do anything that's out of integrity. So if you haven't read the book, don't write me a review that says, this work rivals Voltaire. Never, ever do that. But you can say, I love Ladies Power Lunch, 5 stars. You can say, Dr. Davia is okay, 5 stars. You know, whatever feels in integrity for you, I invite you to say that, but I am asking for no less than the 5 of the stars. And thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope to see you on the next show. Bye.